We are sitting here in the rain, the cat and the human. In human terms, it's the 1st of August 2021. But in cat terms, this is eternity. The human have to wear their clothes made of materials of various origins that takes a lot of work and energy to create and distribute. And the cat sits there in their own skin without any additions. The rain does not necessarily affect us equally, I would say. The cat has a pretty robust, to some extent waterproof covering. And the human without their additional clothing, and sometimes even with their clothing, they don't do too well in torrential rain. And yet we do share a common world. The tarp protects both of us. But there's more to the relationship than just physical reality, physical security. The dynamic relationship is much, much deeper, and the relationship goes beyond life and death on the earth. And that is the most important, essential part of this. And it's essential that we understand this, but you can't understand it through reading or talking or some kind of program, doing program education, etc. It really is a direct interaction between the physical human and the spirit and that other level, the force, or what Jiddu Krishnamurti called the unknown. Nature is essential to all of us. The birds, trees, plants, animals. Without nature, there's no combining force that makes anything happen, that allows movement, that allows dimension. And on the most basic level, on the internal level, the human being, of course, is nature, and nature is the human. And yet there is some level of separation where the human has to survive this dynamic, changing system. You could say environment, but really it's a system. It's a living, multi-dimensional system. And so you have this is the positive and negative, plus minus, the electric current, yin and yang. You have the internal, the human is nature, and nature is a part of the human, but at the same time, you have that the human has to survive. And in a way that could be seen like philosophically as a contradiction, and yet that is the reality in this third dimensional level on planet Earth, where nature is part of the human is part of nature. And yet at the same time, absolutely together with that, in the same energy signature, the human has to survive. And so do the plants, the trees, the animals, the rivers survive, yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think I think we all share the same dimension in respect to that, in respect to this duality that I don't know if survival is the right word, but yeah, the clouds have to exist, the rivers have to exist, the trees, the fungi, the mycelium, the plants, the birds. I think if any part of that system was broken, it would break the rest. If you break the flow of the river, you're going to affect everything else. If you would break the existence of the birds, you're going to affect everything else. I mean, we're definitely inside a living kaleidoscope of energy of which we're all a part. We're one part. In that sense, we're all one. And yet at the same time, we have this strange, almost primitive, I hate to use that word, almost primitive phenomenon where we have to survive. And I seriously think that this is something that we have to be aware of and consider and understand, and maybe overcome is not the right word, but the question is, does intelligence have to survive? Does the spirit have to survive? Does the soul have to survive? Does the psyche have to survive? I would say no. And so in the third dimension on Earth, what exactly is this survival phenomenon where we're a part of everything and everything is a part of us and we're all interconnected? What is this survival aspect of the whole relationship? And if we don't understand that, we're not going to understand the phenomenon in which we are interacting, Now, should we wait? Is the passage to overcome that? I don't know. I'll talk about that later when maybe I figure out some aspect of it, but to overcome. Because in the system of interconnectedness, where everything is interconnected with everything else, so the bacteria, the mycelium, the fungi, the virus, the probiotic, the soil, grass, plants, you know, the whole system that we inhabit, clouds, rain, sun, water. This uniquely undivided, interconnected system that creates life, or that nourishes life. And then there's this kind of what's that word? This glitch. It's like a glitch in time, where you're inside this complete system, that it's a part of you and you're a part of it, and yet you have to survive. It's a serious question to consider, or it's a serious psychic, primordial challenge. Could be a challenge, I don't know. Challenge might be the challenge pathway. Initiation, or the Tor, that's the Tor, the gateway. Because for sure the psyche, the spirit, the soul, they don't have to survive, obviously, right? I would think that's clear. The astral doesn't have to survive, and yet on this 3D physical material existence, where at the same time we're part of everything, everything's part of us, it kind of creates the question, therefore, why is this survival phenomenon present? And I question it. I mean, I don't know what the answer is. I question it, and I've questioned it my whole life. I've been in situations where, out in the wilds, soaking wet, tent torn apart, torrential downpour, and where even all the modern protection that we have isn't enough in that situation, especially when your fantastic, beautiful tent is torn apart by a hurricane. And then what you have left isn't enough. It does create that question, what is survival? And why does it exist at all on this dimension, the third dimension? And is it possible for an advanced human or a compassionate human, an interconnected human, is it possible to, I don't know if you could say overcome that, but perhaps adapt in a way that's so advanced it would increase the level of dimension inside the third dimension, where this survival phenomenon would transform, would no longer exist, transform, or would the human transform within that environment, is what is coming to me right now. Not how do we survive, if we survive, will we survive, but to question and have an insight into and understand what that is, what that means, because when you have that nature is a part of the human, humans are part of the nature, and yet we have to survive. Inside that yin-yang eternity, electric current or energy current, is a question or a challenge or a doorway that perhaps it's possible, actually physically possible, to bring another dimension into this existence in the third dimension, where the challenge becomes a transformation, a unifying principle, that then what we perceive as survival becomes a gateway or a pathway to actually living in harmony, where the old path ends and the new begins through that door, that doorway. And I think this is what is hinted at, or it's a code of the ancient world that they understood. That's as far as I can see. That's just that doorway. The T, the pi T transformation.